What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I am back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the red color, playing as Uranus. His name is Chemo. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Uranus. His name is Ulysses. Yes, we do indeed have an Uranus mirror. We have the victor of the Masters of Mythology tournament versus the victor of Champions League Season 1, Season 2, and numerous other events. Who will win? Only time will tell. The big difference in the start of this game thus far is Chemo has found his giraffe, went for his economic guild, and Ulysses has not. Which means Ulysses is going to attempt to get to the classical age at 4 minutes. However, he is going to run into a serious issue here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chicken with 75 food each. If you do the math there, I cannot do that math. That math is too hard. But it is less than 600 food in chicken to begin with here, which I would wager is not enough food to advance at 4 minutes. And Ulysses is going to have to eat some goat and be very upset about it. So we'll see how that's going to go. But Chemo, on the other hand, he's already out here. He's eating these giraffe. He is getting fat off of those giraffe and living the dream. Ulysses has found his own giraffe now. Unfortunately, he doesn't realize that there are a metric butt ton of giraffe over here. He does send his villager, and will he then throw down an economic guild? Nope. Mana Temple. He has decided to go quick smart to the classical age. You can always get the hunting dogs on the way up to the classical age. I see a lot of 4-minute builds just neglect hunting dogs completely and just not go for it. But in this situation, it is 100% a situation where you could decide to grab hunting dogs after the fact and probably be able to catch up a little bit. But in this position here, Chemo has definitely got an advantage going on in this game. And we'll see if he's going to be able to convert it. He will have to defend his food villages at the 4-minute mark because he's going to be going for a 4:30. He should be able to get there, but we'll see how that's going to go. 3:55, 4-minute from Ulysses coming in, and Ulysses has spotted Chemo's hunt. So he's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on really early. One way to defend against this would be to bring your Oracle Scouts back and manually heroize them to defend against the early Oracle pressure that comes on from the early Valor. That's one way. And the other way is just to leave and say a good day to you, sir. And we are actually seeing Ulysses here. He's very much struggling to get that 400 food. It's past 4 minutes. No hunting dogs. He's got everyone on food, and he is very sad about the state of affairs that he has found himself in. So, Village is now going to move over out onto the gold, onto the wood, as he is advancing through Prometheus here. And Chemo, on the other hand, is just about to pop out this final villager. Going to get close to advancing here. He probably could have shifted this villager over onto food instead of moving him over onto wood to guarantee a 4:30 here. But 4:32, not going to be that bad. No one's going to complain too much about that. We do see the mana coming down for Chemo, and he does indeed bring his oracles back. So the other thing is, if the oracles come in here and try and attack this position, Chemo can just garrison, or not necessarily garrison, just pull them off the side. But he can just jump around this mana, and so long as he's got giraffe close to the mana, he can jump around, and the oracle's vision is not going to be enough to really do all too much damage here. So we'll see how he's going to do. He is moving the giraffe as close to the mana as he possibly can. I would like to see this giraffe killed here as well, so he can jump between this one and this one. But there is the Valor coming down straight away. The villagers fighting to stay alive here as they pull back. You can see Chemo here. He's pulled very far away from this position here. With his own oracles, he's going to be shanking away the oracles of Ulysses as he's back onto this food. The oracle's coming in for Chemo now, ready to fight back here, and we see the double counter barracks coming down for Ulysses. Valor coming in now for Chemo, and that is going to be ouch times for Ulysses. He's also got, Chemo's also got himself an extra hero citizen, so the defense is much better here for Chemo than it is the offense for Ulysses. But he did do a little bit of damage. Did he end up getting himself that hunting dogs? No hunting dogs here. I feel like that's a big mistake considering how much food is there, but what can you do? We do see the Prometheus or Promethean running in here, trying to cause a little bit of harass. This final Oracle hero Chemo is trying to keep alive. Is going to get punched down there by that Promethean. Going to pull him back and continue this fight as we do see the medium Terma coming in, and we do see a very stock standard Murmillo Terma coming through from Chemo to try and defend against the double Terma of Ulysses. We do see those Prometheans falling here. The Oracle falling as well. Chemo getting pulled around in this game here as well. The micro is very important in these early stages of these fights. And to be honest, we have defender's advantage for Chemo, so he should be able to out-produce Ulysses. But Ulysses micro popping off here very, very nicely. We do see these Terma able to start shooting and get some kills over here. One Murmillo will go down, but not before the hero Oracle does end up falling as well. Chemo does have another Promethean out as well to help defend. And in that moment, Ulysses does decide to retreat away. Chemo with an advantage of 2 population here and 1 citizen. That 1 citizen is pretty gigantic, but how much of a 1 citizen is it nearly 2? It's 1 citizen and I guess 4/5 or something there for Chemo. So big advantage where that's concerned, and we'll see if Chemo is going to be able to translate that small advantage into a big advantage, and we still don't see that economic guild coming through for Ulysses. So Chemo is just going to get further and further ahead on the food income, and well, I mean it's an Uranus mirror, so the food income matters a little bit, but not a whole lot, because in the end of the day, going for a full wood-based army here, you do actually gather resources faster to do that, and you can have a lot of advantages where that's concerned. So if Ulysses can go into those Caraballas, the Terma ball versus the Murmillo Terma of Chemo, he can actually find himself with a small advantage there, as we do see the units running into each other. One Terma does end up falling, as Ulysses says, well, probably shouldn't have done that, but I'm going to get out of here, and we're going to be celebrating living the dream. The Master Chiefer, to be alive, what a time indeed. Time be alive. Water 2. Yes. Anyways, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. All right. Terma's coming back in. Just getting some poke here. If he can pick off a couple of these Murmillo, he will. Nice pullback here from Chemo. And look at that. I don't know if he did that on purpose or not, but he actually sped walk his units away from the fight there just a little bit. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to be making a video on it. If you do know what it is, you are very, very smart. Anyways, onwards and upwards. Terma's falling here, and away we go. Ulysses getting out, doing all the good stuff. We do see these villagers popping down over here on the giraffe, getting defended by the Caraballister. Now, in my opinion, the Uranus mirror is all about whomever gets to the Mythic Age first. As long as you're not like too far behind on economy, that is. So if you get to the Mythic Age first here, like way before your opponent, your Tartarian Gate just does a ridiculous amount of damage. The amount of value you get out of Tartarian Gate in this matchup is unrivaled with any other matchup. There's no matchup that struggles more against Tartarian Gate than Uranus versus Uranus. So much so that I believe that getting a second town center in this matchup is actually a gigantic mistake. And we are, in fact, seeing Chemo getting said second town center. Now, Chemo might be seeing the Caraballister of Ulysses, deciding that, well, Ulysses has got no mobility anymore, so I can just get a town center and play defensive here. We'll see if it's going to work for him or not. Ulysses, on the other hand, still eating his food over here. The food has all been eaten up by Chemo, and he's now on his goats. I'm sure he's got husbandry. Yes, he does. He's even got pickaxe as well, and he's floating a lot of gold. But at this point, Chemo's got to be thinking about how does he get to the heroic age, and Ulysses as well needs to be thinking about the same thing. But it looks like Ulysses is just going to go straight up, full population. All of that advantage that Chemo's had from hunting dogs has been... Oh, nice shockwave here. Might actually snipe a citizen, getting back into the equal situation there on villagers. But all of that advantage that Chemo's had from hunting dogs has kind of been dealt with in a way just because Ulysses' army is mostly wood-based here. So he needs to stop throwing away units, but we'll see how it's going to go. Anyways, Terma getting out of here, doing their thing. Ulysses now ready to make a move forward. Town center is just about to come up for Chemo. We do see a cheeky Promethean over here checking out this settlement, making sure that Ulysses can't sneak that one up. He does have his economic guild now and getting himself the husbandry so he can jump onto those herdables and do all of that good stuff. Now the Terma sort of just running around. They see the villagers here, but the Murmillo are on their tail. I'm not going to be able to get anything done here, so they just have to retreat back. And now Ulysses sees that he is behind on the town centers, and he's going to grab his own town center. So this is a reactionary town center grab from Ulysses. And I think when you're in these positions, 95% of the time, when your opponent gets a town center and you haven't seen it, it's actually better to tech and try and punish that way than try and chase with your own town center. We do see the Prometheans here getting taken down by the Murmillos, and over here, the fight getting pushed back. The medium infantry has come through for both players, it looks like. But Chemo's army definitely a little bit stronger here with a little bit more population, but there is 3 citizens of that population, so 9 ahead for Chemo. So this is a still fairly close fight, but Ulysses still doesn't want to fight it. Going to be pulling back. The villagers coming back into the hometown center as he has run out of gold. Though these villagers over here still munging away on those giraffe. Now, that is an Australian term, and you're going to have to look that one up if you don't get what that means. But yes, they are indeed munging on their giraffe. They might jump onto this gold mine afterwards because, oh, actually, Ulysses should probably go there now because he needs gold. But Chemo here deciding can't take this fight for whatever reason. Those Caraballister will actually shred his Murmillo. Does decide to turn around now, though, taking the fight as some Caraballister now coming in for Chemo. Chemo is now looking like he's trying to make his way into the heroic age, but I don't see an armory up anywhere for him just yet. So he needs to get that one down, and then he'll be okay very, very shortly here. So we do see him retreating back. Chemo coming home. Doesn't want to put too much pressure on. These villagers here sneaking this gold mine in this location, and Chemo's got a little bit of an inkling about this. I'm not sure how he has this inkling. I would guarantee, like if I was playing as Ulysses, I would be on this gold mine. This one over here seems a little bit ambitious, but maybe Chemo is just scouting around, making sure nothing too spicy is going on. Thea is coming through for Chemo as well, so he's got the tech lead, and having the tech lead means that he's going to be getting to the Mythic Age first. We talked about it already, but in this matchup, you just don't have siege, and you just don't have a real quality way to deal with the Tartarian Gate. Now, you can actually counter Tartarian Gate with Helios by vortexing in to the Tartarian Gate and picking it off with your Hecagigantes. But then you also have to deal with the potential of Chaos and or the Lampede coming in to pick those off. But you can definitely trade one charge of Vortex for the Tartarian Gate. But generally speaking, it's going to deal its damage regardless. As Chemo is going to be pulling back home. And Ulysses is also looking for something to do here, but can't get it done. We will be seeing Ulysses now, ready to start thinking about clicking up. He's going for a bit of a Murmillo raid over here as Chemo is throwing up his stock standard walls. We don't see walls down too often for the Atlantean player, but I guarantee you these walls are very, very smart, very good. He's going to be getting them up as fast as he possibly can, but unfortunately for Chemo, he is not fast enough. Actually, he might be. He's not paying attention. Ulysses coming through this way. There is one little gap here. Will he get there in time? He does indeed get there in time. However, the Terma gets there and hits that low HP wall and breaks through that wall instantly. You might think that's a little bit of a bug, but that is exactly how walls work. If you hit a low HP wall adjacent to a full HP wall, the entire wall ends up getting pain. And we do see the Heroic Age is in. A heavy Murmillo has come through now for Chemo as he's ready to start pushing in with that. They are on the way for Ulysses as well. Pulling back, we'll be able to get his Hesperid's tree down, start making those those Dryads. There is still a little bit of gold left over here. We do have this gold mine over here. Hesperus tree's out for Chemo as he is starting to make those Dryads. And he's built all 5 of them instead of going to the Mythic Age here. So slowing that down just a little bit of a shockwave going in as well there. It would seem as the Stymphalian Bird flying overhead. I would like to see Stymphalian Bird raid over here for just a little bit as Watchtowers coming through for Ulysses to help him defend on this position. The Stymphalian Bird taking a big chunk of damage there as the units have to retreat back for Chemo. Chemo in a bit of a good position here. So we do see these Murmillo just hanging out over here as Ulysses is going to bring them back in. Wants them for his main fight. We do not see the medium Murmillo coming in just yet for Ulysses as he is struggling for resources, whereas Chemo is floating a bunch of resources indeed here. And there he goes, ready to advance. Big shockwave going through Hecate. No surprises there. Chemo has repositioning his houses. He's got himself a market as well, ready to start making that trade route. One thing that is very, very important in this matchup is to get a palace in your base somewhere, out of sight, out of mind. The idea being that the Tartarian Gate comes in and you get yourself your fire siphon over there to take that Tartarian Gate down. So playing around that, making sure you get the damage reduced, very, very important. Dryads from Chemo getting picked off as Chemo is defending this position nicely. We do see the Stymphalian Birds firing at each other there. That's very smart. They both do a ton of damage. You do still have Hero Terma here, though, ready to take that final Stymphalian Bird down as Ulysses with 0 resources basically in the bank, still spamming units, getting quarry through. Shaft Mine coming through for Chemo as he hasn't really invested into his economy at all in this game, but his Mythic Age coming through red hot here as another Stymphalian Bird coming in as the Hero Terma are able to take this one down incredibly fast, however decide to pull out in favor of saving their lives against those Murmillo. And Chemo is ready to keep pushing in. He's nearly back up to 126 or 120 of 130 population, or 130 of 130 population. We do see a bit of a raid now onto this gold here. This is a very, very nice from Ulysses. Chemo not really paying attention. He does have units that are kind of mustering here, and he can utilize those to push back very shortly here, but not really happening. We do see the Stymphalian Bird taking out another Stymphalian Bird there, or the Terma, I guess, as we do see one Hero Murmillo coming in onto this position. He could Tartarian Gate this, but it's definitely better to hit the location where most of the farms are, or even in between the 2 town centers, like hit this watchtower and then hit both of these locations here. And that's exactly where Chemo seems to be going here, as his Heavy Murmillo is going to fall. No, he gets the Tartarian Gate down in time. And the question is going to be where to now. So Chemo's got a couple of options here. Getting his 2nd town center, getting his 3rd town center, getting his 4th town center. We do see little Hempedi over here getting sniped down by these units, getting a little bit out of position here. As Chemo doesn't know where to go, he's going after the gold mines on this position here. Ulysses over here having to pull all of his citizen. Interestingly, these Stymphalian Birds, they're not very good against the Tartarian Gate, but they're not god awful either, because the Tartarian Gate is possibly the lowest pierce armor building in the game, and each of these Stymphalian Birds shoots 3 projectiles at 11 DPS. So you're looking at 33 DPS onto this Tartarian Gate. Take the 60%, let's call it 50%, and they're all doing 15 damage a second to this Tartarian Gate, which is actually a decent amount. But we do see Chemo coming in, trying to snipe down those Stymphalian Birds. We've got the Chemo Arcus coming in as well, trying to take these down as well, as Mason's coming through for Chemo to hold on to this Tartarian Gate for just a little bit longer. And now we do indeed see the final Stymphalian Bird falling. This town center attempting to go up for Chemo, but he's not able to do it. Ulysses is seemingly being able to hold a lot of this position, as Chemo is still getting raided by a few medium Murmillo. This Ulysses is absolutely unrelenting in this game, looking like he's probably going to be able to snipe this citizen. And the citizen is making the great escape, but Chemo still hasn't actually paid attention here. Ends up losing the citizen, as these other Murmillo are going to be falling as well. These units from Ulysses taking down the Dryad over here. dealing with that one as the Tartarian Gate is still up and the town center is down. So Kimo getting all of that value from his Tartarian Gate. And we do see Hecate coming through for Ulysses now, but does Kimo have any plans here to get a palace up anytime soon? The answer seemingly is no. As he is continuing to push in, we do have the palace out now for Ulysses as the military barracks coming down for Ulysses, as maybe Kimo a little bit too overzealous here, pushing in without too much backup. A couple of units just hanging over here as the army of Ulysses just kind of pathing by, and they do alert the red Kimo units to come over and help defend this town center that is getting shot up now. And we do see a very, very aggressive Hesperus tree here from Kimo. I guess he doesn't really care. As long as he has one, it doesn't really matter because Ulysses is going to have two as well. So even if Ulysses, the difference between having 2 Hesperus trees and 3 Hesperus trees is pretty negligible. So chucking this in the middle of the map just to prevent potential god powers on this position. I mean, maybe. It doesn't really matter, but he just throws it down anyways. We do see this medium Arcus that has been moving in here to try and get that Tartarian Gate down here. Gets sniped off, and Kimo lives for just a little bit longer without having to deal with that Tartarian Gate. And now we do see the army of Kimo retreating back home. He's going to be ready to try and take this down. He's got a lot of food in the bank, a decent amount of gold, so he can actually heroize his Murmillo to deal with this if he so chooses. As we see Ulysses seeing the army retreating here, we'll see if he makes a big move up to try and grab this town center while this is all going on. Because I mean, that's kind of what he has to do. He has to trade Tartarian Gate for town centers in this position as soon as he possibly can. And we do see the Murmillo coming through here. Still haven't chucked the Tartarian Gate down. I feel like it'll be a little bit of a waste here with all the units being here. But he goes for it nonetheless, especially those Dryads. They're going to be able to tank a whole bunch as the army comes in. Here, a Murmillo do get created by Kimo, and we'll see him utilizing them to try and tank the Tartarian spawns. And these Tartarian spawns do a lot of damage, but you can kite around a little bit, kind of Amanra the Tartarian spawns away from this. Meanwhile, we see a little bit of a raid coming in by Ulysses onto this position over here. His army hanging out. He's got a couple of destroyers. He's got some Dryads here as well. He has cleaned up the Tartarian Gate in his base, going to get his town center back. And then we get to continue into a fairly equal, seemingly fairly equal kind of mid to late game here, if you will. But I think Kimo's got a slight edge here. He's at 150 of 160 population. He's got his 3 town centers. Ulysses is building his town centers, but at 115 of 150 population. Still no heavy infantry, but it is coming through. We see the army coming onto this town center as fast as it possibly can. Lone Lampade going to be retreating back. Just a couple of destroyers here. He's got 3 destroyers. I think one of these... he's got 2 destroyers, excuse me. And the Dryads. The Dryads don't get any crush damage. So that's kind of it. As for Ulysses, he's going to have to pull back. His town center in the forward position is up. He's getting this back position up as well. Kimo does have 5 citizen lead at this point. So still has a little bit... well, still has a pretty gigantic advantage there. 5 citizen does kind of equal 15 villager count if you compare it to the other civilizations. So he's got a significant advantage where that's concerned. But Ulysses still very much in this game. He's going to have to find a way to like equalize in a way. But we'll see how he's going to go. We do have a very, very cheeky sky passage here from Kimo. I love that from Kimo coming in on this angle. I would love to see some kind of a distraction from Kimo before he comes in and attacks this. Like send some units over here, attack this manor, and then make a push. Or wait for the army of Ulysses to come out of here. He does grab the Hesperus tree before returning back up to this location. The villager making a break for the sky passage over here as those Arcus dealing damage from afar. Not actually going to be able to end up taking that citizen down. The citizen's going to be hanging out in the town center. Ulysses has recouped his villager differential, but Kimo does have a significant advantage on the resource count here. Just doesn't have any armory upgrades, so he's going to start getting those as well as finishing off his carpenters and everything else. Copper mail coming in now as he's already gotten his copper weapons. And now Ulysses swinging around the back, going to go after these Arcus. A very, very nice kind of trap that Ulysses is set up, and Kimo is going to have to retreat through this location. Huge shockwave coming down by Ulysses here as he needs to also block this location off here, but he has an attempt to do that. Chemo's also going to get himself champion infantry here. He's retreating away. And he's getting himself quarry and everything else. There's the Hesperus tree here for Chemo. He wants to get out those Dryads, but he just does not have the gold. As the Hesperus tree goes back to Ulysses. And Chemo, Ulysses, very, very equal in this position, it would seem. But more villages or more units coming through. We still have the champion infantry coming in for Chemo. Champion infantry works a lot differently to the medium infantry in that instead of it just being 10% bonus, you get 20% bonus. So the champion upgrades are very, very important to grab as fast as you possibly can. And I'm sure we'll see Ulysses grabbing those as soon as he can afford it, but he is taking these fights right now. And the more fighting at this point that Chemo does, the more advantage he actually does have, as he's continuously pumping units through this sky passage to take this fight as best as he possibly can. And the Stymphalian bird getting pulled back over here. Stymphalian bird getting some cheeky raids onto this position here, taking down a couple more of those champion Mamillas. Every little bit of damage Ulysses does help him catch up on the upgrades, which is severely lacking here. Got heavy archers, champion infantry against heavy infantry, medium archers. But heavy archers now coming through for Ulysses, so he will be able to catch up where that is concerned. More units popping through. We even see the Fanatic getting built by Chemo. As Ulysses going to retreat back to Chemo's Hesperus tree, now Ulysses' Hesperus tree. And we've got some stray units moving up this side. Will we be seeing the Sky Passage? Yes, we will. This Sky Passage is awfully close to Ulysses. So close, in fact, that the Watchtower does indeed see this. And Ulysses has got himself not only is it a tower, but he's also got himself signal fires there. So he's able to see a lot more of the map. Signal fires being the +6, I believe. Line of sight to all buildings. Very, very important upgrade for you buddying Asian mythology expert wannabes out there. It's one of those technologies you want to grab roughly mid-game, costs 150 wood, and it gives you a complete view of the map, so no sneaky side builds can get past you. And you can see a palace coming up on this position. And there is a very real world here where Ulysses is not actually able to defend his gold mines here. He doesn't have sky passages set up himself, so he's not able to dart around the map. The palace coming up on this gold mine is the next gold mine that Ulysses is going to want. He has thrown up his market in Matrius fashion here. But we'll see how he's going to go. These units here taking this fight nicely. Champion infantry going to be able to win this fight just a little bit. It's actually pretty close. But meanwhile, while this is all going on, Chemo decides to make a big push in onto this town center. This does have architects, so even with like 8 of these champion destroyers to target this town center down, it's still going to take a hot minute for it to go down. But all of these units seemingly getting surrounded here by Chemo, as Ulysses not able to keep himself afloat in this game, and Chemo's just got an overwhelming advantage of units here, as Ulysses' resources have absolutely plummeted. Ulysses trying to get his trade started, whereas Chemo hasn't started his own trade. So Chemo's sitting there with a lot more food available to him. Those llama caravans basically pay themselves off in 1 or 2 trips, but while you're building the trade route, they cost 100 food each at 14 seconds or 15 seconds. 15 seconds, so 100 food at 15 seconds is a lot to be spending on those at this stage of the game when you need to be building a whole bunch of units. And now the villagers getting pulled off, still very low HP, but have managed to keep their lives. Town center is going to be falling over here for Ulysses, so even if Ulysses does manage to get a gold mine, which he has kind of snuck over here with 4 citizen, he is still going to be in pain because this town center is going to go the way of Chemo. And in that moment, Ulysses does decide to tap out. GG, a very interesting game here of kind of wood-based Uranus 4-minute against the 430. I wonder how different this game would have been had Ulysses found his giraffe in exactly the same moment that Chemo found his and decided to opt for hunting dogs in that moment. The other thing is, I feel like he probably could have grabbed hunting dogs as he was advancing to the as he was advancing to the classical age, instead of delaying that and not getting it all, there was just so much food in this position that was left over that the honey dogs, it doesn't even matter. He would have had a great amount of food from that, but he didn't actually decide to do that. Chemo's nice tech, nice macro, able to get him to the Mythic Age first. He did go 2 town centers, but in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if your opponent also goes 2 town centers, what your strategy is. And he's able to do everything. He gets his Tartarian Gate down first. Town center goes down, so he trades the Tartarian Gate for a whole bunch of units and the town center, and it was just a matter of just slowly squeezing there. But I feel like Ulysses did have a moment here where he was nearly back into the game. In fact, if we check the resource total, you can see a huge difference here of 10,000 resources in the end of the game, but there was a point here where the score was incredibly equal right here, where it seems like the military losses were just favoring Ulysses a lot. And then all of a sudden, Ulysses just drops off the face of the planet and Chemo gets the win. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next game.